and when storms come, I participate in them. Thrill at the great black thunderheads that come rolling in from the Gulf, and the crackle of lightning, and the majesty of thunder. I rediscover a sense of hearing, and I smell all of the blossoms and grasses on the afternoon air after a rain.
From the time she was a young girl in a deeply wooded small town in East Texas, Claudia Taylor was captivated by nature. Even her nickname, Ladybird, connected her to her innermost love. She described nature as her daily companion, her life.
I love to walk along the springs. Every one of them was a joy for me to discover what was growing there. And when it started, it was my kingdom, my place, my love.
Her life has enriched all of us who appreciate and experience our great national parks, the beauty of wildflowers alongside our nation's highways, and the overall preservation of our country's natural resources.
Beautification, natural beauty, conservation, we are searching for a word that will convey the enormity of the task. What we are really talking about is the life pattern of your generation and of those to follow.
She wanted Vermont to look like Vermont, Washington to look like Washington, Georgia to look like Georgia, Texas to look like Texas. And she saw that we were becoming a very homogenized country. We weren't celebrating our own backyard. We weren't understanding our own backyard.
There may be no single individual since President Theodore Roosevelt left office in 1909 who has contributed more to this awakening than Lady Bird Johnson. As fate would have it, she had the same bully pulpit of the White House. Mrs. Johnson became First Lady on November 22, 1963, following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. She was standing at her husband's side aboard Air Force One as Vice President Lyndon Johnson was sworn in as president.
Lyndon was helpful in everything I ever did. In fact, it would not have been possible to have the stage, the audience, the opportunity, and I was always mindful of that.
Turmoil occupied the national stage during her tenure as First Lady, but she kept shining a light on America's natural treasures and the environment. As part of her Discover America series of trips, Mrs. Johnson toured national parks and natural areas coast to coast with Secretary of the Interior Stuart Udall. An entourage of media followed her on these wilderness expeditions, ensuring that national attention would be paid to these magnificent natural areas.
All over the country, there is an awakening to the preservation of nature's endowments.
She had friends on both sides of the aisle who recognized that this was about something far bigger than one political party or one political philosophy. It was about this gorgeous land that unites us, and maybe we better figure out how we can preserve it.
The accomplishments mounted: the Wilderness Act of 1964, the Highway Beautification Bill, the Clean Air Act, the Land and Water Conservation Fund Act, the Water Quality Act, the Endangered Species Act, and the National Wild and Scenic River System. At least 34 national parks, historic sites, and monuments were established. Responding to a friend's suggestion that she helped transform our nation's capital from a rapidly decaying urban center to a garden city, she raised private money and led the way in beautifying public parks. She also focused on the blighted areas of Washington, enlisting eager Howard University and high school students to help clean up neighborhoods.
If we have changed this city just one iota, it has also changed all of us. That is, if I'm any judge from my own personal reactions. I think we'll go back being catalysts for better neighborhoods, better cities, a better America, wherever our home is.
Following the presidency, the Johnsons returned to Texas and their beloved ranch in 1969. Her public service continued for almost 40 years. Mrs. Johnson spent much of the 1970s working to restore the banks of Town Lake in Austin, later renamed Lady Bird Lake. The result has been an inner-city jewel, the treasured hike and bike trail in the heart of the city. Rarely slowing, Mrs. Johnson was 70 years old when she created the National Wildflower Research Center in 1982, guiding it from modest beginnings to now nearly 280 acres, a botanic garden, and a nationally acclaimed research and education center as part of the University of Texas. To prevent plants and flowers from extinction, the Wildflower Center collects and preserves seeds of rare and common native plants for future use. Mrs. Johnson was always thinking of generations to come.
She developed all of these classes and all of the opportunities for school children to come out, for teachers to come out, so that they would realize what was around them, and it didn't take a whole lot of money to have a beautiful schoolyard or backyard or park area in your community.
I think one of the important things is for young generations to realize to go outside and see the environment around them. If the next generation doesn't worry about it, it's going to disappear.
What will your environment be? Will you live in communities that free the mind or imprison it? Will your cities be places to thrive in or to escape from? And what places will there be left to escape to?
This gracious, gentle lady, who bonded with the land as a young girl, helped us all understand what we had largely taken for granted. She inspired us to cherish and care for America's natural treasures and to have our own rendezvous with the land.
There is much the government can and should do to improve the environment. But even more important is the individual who plants a tree or cleans a corner of neglect. For it is the individual who himself benefits and also protects a heritage of beauty for his children and future generations.
Mrs. Johnson and I grew up just 15 miles apart in the same county in northeast Texas. We graduated from the same high school. Both of us majored in journalism at the University of Texas. When I went to Washington as a young man of 20, she took me under her wing, became my friend and mentor until the end of her days. Interior Secretary Stuart Udall may have said it best. Not only did she plant wildflowers, she planted environmental values in the hearts of citizens and decision makers. And that is really her legacy.